Next match of this team battle, Mythos is taking on Zane. After he won in the last match, Mythos is using Shadow Paladin. And I'm going to be completely honest, I don't have a strategy for what to do after this. In light of myself being a bit stressed and a little more emotional than I should have been, I kind of did the ordering wrong. It would have been better if Ren went first, and then I go after. But at the same time, giving Ren a chance to see the competition of what he was up against probably ended up being a good thing, so. At the end of that turn, Mythos only has 2 damage. Rides and calls Taru 2. For Counterblast 2, he can choose any Revenger and put it behind Taru 2. Uses Rakia, and then calls Mana and gets out a Judge Bow, which gives Rakia a 3000 power boost. Judge Bow does go to the bottom of the deck at the end of the turn, but that's perfectly fine. Critical trigger. Decides to give the power to Mana in case a trigger appears. And it didn't. He uses the 18k on the rear guard, which Zane blocks. And he goes 19 on the vanguard. He actually could have used 19 on the rear guard just to make sure it was gone, just because of how deeply Zane blocks for that unit. But doing early damage is good as well, especially considering that Zane can't stride this turn. The reason why Zane's vanguard keeps twitching like that is because he's having mouse issues. 2 pass from Mythos gets 1 trigger. It's a heal. Mythos jumping the gun. 15 to the rear. It's not blocked. And there's Raging Form Dragon. And a lot of strange situations come from this. Raging Form Dragon would be a really good unit to have in this situation if Revengers had their limit remover, but we just aren't at that point yet. Mythos decides to use Stride, a good way to build some hand. And with his Vanguard being what it is, he really doesn't have to care about the counterblast. Of course, Judge Bow Revenger is just there being a Revenger right now. Zane no guards. And no triggers for Mythos. He did get a perfect guard though. Zane heals again. And a 10k block. And now Zane activates his Stride. And with the Generation Break skill, Sutasha attacks the rear guard. Tidal Assault is going for the Vanguard, but it can't hit. Zane's attacking the Vanguard, and Mythos doesn't block it. He actually could have guarded with the perfect guard. And in my opinion, it might have been better if he did. But that's just my opinion. Loses a Raging Form from it, but he wouldn't have been able to use the skill without that going to the damage anyway. Title board gives him a draw, and he chooses not to superior call a unit from hand, so he did it just for a plus. And now 21 to the 16k Vanguard, 10k shield. Mythos did draw that Phantom Blaster Abyss on the last turn. He can use it for a Legion, which he's doing right now. But of course, this also means he's going to have to give quite a bit of hand in order to deal with it, unless he has manas in hand. It won't work with Tarutu because Tarutu takes 2 counter blasts, which means he wouldn't have enough to use Phantom Blaster Abyss's special ability. Drops the perfect guard. Very surprising that he's willing to give up defense that much just to attack. Then again, can't see his hand from here, so who knows, he might have more. Zane decides to no pass just in case. Making sure that Judge Bow Revenger doesn't hit, I assume. And now 22 at the Vanguard. Even with a double critical, Mythos doesn't end it on this attack. And if Zane has the ability to stride, he can end it here, unfortunately. And he does. And unfortunately, again, this is pretty much the end of the match, because even if Mythos could guard for the 4 battles, which is possible, depending on his hand, he wouldn't be able to block Lambros's restand skill. Although Zane is kind of doing it wrong, he's trying really hard to think about what he should be doing here. Because only the units that stand actually gain the power. And he takes the damage. I can only guess he was going to move Couple Dagger Sailor and Tidal Assault, switching their positions around, so that he could stand the Sailor and have that gain power, and it would be stronger than what Tidal Assault would be if he would do it then. But good game. Mythos couldn't do anything with the fact that Zane basically healed twice in 2 turns in a row, making it so that everything that Mythos tried to do early on to get damage really didn't mean much. So moving on to DS's final member, as soon as I find out who that is.